am so excited to be back on the podcast. Full disclosure, this is the second time we're recording this because we had some issues, but I am here with my friend Nick, one of my dear and best friends, and we met a few years ago in Peru at the ayahuasca center I used to work at as a facilitator, and now we both live here in tiny mountain towns just 10 minutes away from each other in Peru. So I'd love to talk to you about, first, how you got to Peru and why you wanted to start with ayahuasca, one of the most powerful psychedelics.
Okay, well, I had heard about ayahuasca decades ago. Like when I first started looking into like, who am I and what is this all about? And, really had my first sort of a spiritual awakening, if you call it. I found two avenues of inquiry, which was meditation and yoga and like Eastern philosophy, and then psychedelics. And when you start exploring psychedelics, very quickly ayahuasca comes up as like, this is a centuries, if not millennia old method of self-inquiry, of healing, of all these things. So I had heard about it, but it seemed very extreme. At the time, I was like 20, in my early 20s. I had never really done any drugs. Actually, I had done 0 drugs in my life.
Okay, yeah. I don't think I knew that.
I had like a teenage phase of being straight edge, like punk rock straight edge, like we don't do any drugs sort of thing. That quickly evaporated in my adulthood. Like I hadn't done any drugs, even recreationally. So the idea of taking like a powerful mind-altering substance in the jungles of Peru or Colombia or something seemed like, it's interesting, but like, let's go somewhere else first.
Yeah.
So I spent many years investigating meditation, mindfulness, Buddhism, Vedanta, Advaita, philosophic study, philosophic inquiry, contemplation. And then eventually that ran its course, and I found myself during the pandemic deeply unwell. I had panic attacks, I had persistent anxiety and depression, I felt hopeless in my life, like I was stuck and it's going nowhere, and I just don't like the way my life is turning out. And I had a friend who came to Dreamglade, and he recounted his experience, and while he was speaking, I was like, oh shit, it's time. It's time to meet ayahuasca. And so, I came and the rest is history.
Yes. Well, tell us more about the rest. So, how was your experience with ayahuasca? So that was your first psychedelic experience? Mm-mm. Okay, so you had done other things before that.
One time. So basically, I mentioned I had spent like a decade meditating every single day. I sort of thought I had my mental, emotional state under control because like I'm a meditator and I'm super into spirituality and Buddhism and study and self-inquiry and all these things. Like I have it under control. Meditation is the way. And by the way, it sounds like I'm about to knock meditation. Meditation is extremely important. It's one of like my number one tools. It's what I feel like everyone should have as a tool in life. But to approach it dogmatically, like this is the thing that's going to save my life and keep everything good, is problematic. So actually before the pandemic, I was traveling a lot as a professional musician and like seemingly living the dream life, but I was just growing more and more unhappy. And this sort of like persistent anxiety and even depression was starting to become a thing, and I didn't notice it. And I did recognize that like I'm meditating an hour every day. Like maybe I should be meditating more. Maybe I should be like digging my heels in and
double down.
Leaning further into this tool. Like if this is the thing that fixes everything, like shouldn't I be doing it more? And it just wasn't working. And someone suggested we should try psychedelics. A friend of mine who's also like a deep meditator. And I was like, okay, like, like I'm in control of my mind. Like I can handle whatever my mind throws at me. Like I'm such a powerful meditator, and I know equanimity. So like, yeah, let's do it. And so long story short, a friend and I took LSD by ourselves with no experienced guide.
Wow.
It was the first time for both of us.
Wow.
And it was traumatic. It was I had no idea what was coming. All of my looking inside and thinking I know myself and know my mind, it was shattered immediately.
Oh my God.
And for, 14 hours.
It's a long time.
It was a hell ride. It was a nightmarish. I mean, it was also beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And it was also traumatic and terrifying, and I thought I was dying, and then I thought my friend was going to die, and then I was going to be responsible for their death. And like it was paranoia. It was all of my deepest childhood fears like rushing to the surface. It was a visceral experience of infinity and what that means to me as an individual. It was too much.
Wow.
So I was grossly underprepared for that, and the result was I suffered miserably for a couple of years.
Wow.
In trying to stuff that experience down and get on with my life. And I tried psychotherapy, and I just didn't meet a counselor that I really jived with. So I felt like now I really have no tools. Like I thought I had control over my mind, and now this experience showed me like I have no idea what my mind even is. Meditation's not working for me. So when I finally heard my friend talking about the ayahuasca experience and really how much great care he received at Dreamglade, it sounded like this is the way. My deepest fear at this point was losing my mind. My deepest fear was, I'm not in control of my life. I'm not in control of my mind. I have no idea what the world is and what's in store for me. And ayahuasca to me was the greatest, like, face your fear experience, and also one that's closely related to losing your mind or like going into those kind of spaces.
Having no control.
Yeah, losing control. But then again, like also having an environment that is caring for you.
Right.
An environment where this has been practiced for a long time, and they worked with thousands and thousands of people in this way. So it was a risk to go. It felt like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, maybe I will lose my mind. But I was so deeply unhappy with my day-to-day life that I was living and my internal state. Like, I was just waking up anxious. I was feeling depressed all day, and like my life is going nowhere. And I said, okay, maybe I lose my mind going down to the jungle and drinking ayahuasca, but my life sucks. So maybe it's worth it. Retrospectively, I think that is not the risk. But that's what I was thinking at the time. It was like, I dislike my state so badly right now that I'm willing to go to an extreme.
And did it help?
And then some. Yeah, nice. Like I quickly realized that the context is such a big thing. Like where you are and who you're with and how you're being taken care of and your sense of safety is such a big part of, I'm not even talking about psychedelic drugs, your experience of life.
Yeah.
How you relate to the environment that you're in, how you respond to the environment that you're in, the kind of feelings you have, or the thoughts that those feelings create. If you feel like you're threatened and you're in danger and you have a stomach ache, you might make a whole big story about what's going on. If you're in an environment where you feel safe, you might just be like, oh, maybe I ate too much chili pepper today. It's a completely different story. Based on the context. And I remember that first retreat, I was there for 2 weeks. I drank 6 times. And at some point during that first week, I just felt like this is real medicine. Like this is real care. This is what community feels like. This is what safety feels like. And some of it's painful. But it is an incredible environment for you to just like face the facts, face the music. Like, this is what's going on inside of me. And some of it is difficult physically, and I need someone to help me to the bathroom, but that's available. And then also just like being in the jungle and the jungle sounds at night. And when you're on the medicine, you can feel like very close to your embodied animal self, like, oh yeah, like of course we come from the dirt, we're an animal too, like we're part of this environment. And it's an amazing experience.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that. I had so much fun when you were a guest. I don't even remember really what your ceremonies were about, to be honest, but I remember you going through it and in a really honestly graceful way. And I remember you journaling a lot, like maybe during or after ceremonies you were just like, I have so much to write down.
So and this extends beyond just ayahuasca to other psychedelics, but my whole life, pretty much, I've been a big thinker. And I've always wanted more clarity in my thinking. And you know this because you're an intellectual. Like, you immediately get into conflicts. As soon as you start looking inside and you start asking deep questions, immediately you find all these contrarian views and you find all these complexities, and then you don't really know what you want or what you're asking. And so, you know, my whole life, I always had this fantasy of, I wish there was just like this universal computer that knows the answer to, like a god, basically. But for some reason, it always presented as a computer where I could just like type my question and just get an answer.
Yes.
And with pretty much all the psychedelics, this is my experience. I found it, basically. And
amazing.
It's like you can get into this state where the thinking is so crystal clear, where there is no conflict. You know what the right answer is. You know what you need to do. You know what the problem is. And sometimes it even feels like you're speaking with this intelligence, where you're saying, like, what do I need to do? And an answer comes back at you and you're like, whoa, that was spooky and very clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. And it makes sense to me that you'd picture God like a computer that you type in. It just makes complete sense.
God is a computer.
God is a computer.
Whoa.
Wow. Steve.
This is my style.
Yeah, and I think that's really lucky too. I think that also speaks to, I mean, some people just get really lucky and they can work with plant medicine like that right off the bat. But I think that does speak to your meditation experience, because I do think, like, I have seen a lot of people come through and drink ayahuasca, and some people can get there right away with no meditation experience. It's pretty rare, though. Like, I do think your meditation experience probably helped you understand and be able to sit in this space clearly. But yeah, that's something that I would love people to do before they jump into plant medicine, is meditation experience and yoga. And like, I think that I've seen that help. Definitely.
It's the quality of meditative awareness. Like, can you see what's going on without being too involved in it? So if you're having a nightmarish experience or vision, can you have distance from it and just look at it and not feel like it's happening to you? If you're having painful gastrointestinal episode, which is very common
Pretty
on plant
likely.
medicines like ayahuasca, can you have enough distance from it where you don't feel like, I'm always going to feel this way and, oh, why is this happening to me? Can you just witness it and saying, okay, this sucks. It feels like shit, but I'm going to get through this. I'm probably going to throw up. Or by tomorrow morning, I'm going to feel fine, which is the truth. And it takes a little bit of distance to see that. Meditation is one of the greatest skills you can have at creating that distance. It's one of the things I think about when people are asking me about coming to psychedelics. A lot of the work that I do now and want to do in the future is around initiating people who are curious about psychedelics and wanting to step foot into that arena. And the first thing I think of is, what's this person's meditation practice like? Do they even have a meditation practice? Not to say that that's required, but I just know it's going to go so much better for them if they have that ability to make distance from their experience.
That makes total sense to me. That's what some of my teachers taught me too, as like, even in ceremony, I am not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions. Like, I am experiencing my thoughts, I'm experiencing my emotions. But it can get really, really intense and overwhelming, especially when you're in those ayahuasca or medicine spaces. But if you have that practice, or even just a few times of that feeling of separating yourself from what's actually happening, that goes really far.
There's also this idea of like recognizing different parts of yourself. This is sort of related to meditation, but like, I've had panic states in the past off medicine, and now a couple times on medicine. When we say medicine, we're saying psychedelic drugs, basically, but we're using the more friendly term for it. You know, I'm thinking about one episode I had last year where I was on psilocybin mushrooms and I was in a full panic state physically. Like, my entire nervous system is telling me I'm in danger, I'm not taking care of myself, something bad is going to happen, all these things. And because of my experience, both just with dealing with that in the past and also being in extremely altered states of consciousness, I laid down and I looked for a more sane, wise, grounded, quiet voice that isn't screaming at me, and sure enough found it, and it's the voice that says, your nervous system is telling you you're not safe. You are safe. You're on a very powerful mind-altering substance. This will change within a few hours. Did you leave the stove on? No? Okay. Is there any imminent physical threat? No? Okay. Is the fire contained within the chimney? Yes? Okay, then you're safe. And listening to that voice, you can feel that your nervous system is still going like this, like high alert, danger, danger, danger.
Yeah.
But listening to a softer, grounded, wise voice can make the whole difference. And say like, can I weather this as you would weather a storm? Mm-hmm. And even that first retreat where I was with you and drinking ayahuasca, I had a moment of this. At the time, I maybe wasn't as strong in that skill. And it was you who helped me through it, where I felt it was like the third ceremony, and the experience finally took me to a very scary place of really facing death. Like considering where am I going, or what's happening when this is over? Like what happens when I die? And what is infinity? What does that mean? Where am I going? Like I can't handle that, right?
Good luck with that one.
Good luck with that one. And, at the time, that just wrapped me up. And then all I can do is focus on this fear of infinity, eternity, and what's next, and what do we exist within. And it's a very scary proposition to me. And I was fixated on it. But you came over and had a very brief chat with me, which in counseling terms, technical terms, is reframing.
Okay.
Where you said, well, what if it's just showing you that there's so much more? Very simple. I don't even think you knew how powerful that statement was. And I was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And it, like the whole fear bubble popped, because what you said was very simple, very true. Like you can look at this as like, you're going into this infinite unknown, or you can look at it as the medicine is showing you that there's a lot more than your current experience or what you're fixated on. And coming from a grounded authority, someone who felt like calm and like, I've been there before, don't worry about it. It made a huge difference.
Good.
So,
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't remember most things I say in ceremony, but I'm always happy when they're helpful. And yes, I have been there before. So that definitely helps.
It's not just like what you said, it's your presence. It's your groundedness, your calm. And yeah, like knowing, okay, this person has drank hundreds of times and they're telling me that I'm going to come back to my normal self tomorrow morning. Like, this is just an interesting thing to think about. That's quite a different perspective. This is huge.
That is very helpful. Yeah, and I have also weathered that storm many, many times. So it's like, at this point, I am really good at being calm in an intense anxiety storm. Because I have, just like you said, I mean, not just on plant medicines or psychedelics, but I used to have panic attacks all the time and had to figure out how to get through them. And so now when they come up, when that feeling comes up on the medicine or just in life, like I have that other embodied or empowered voice coming in that's like, you're okay. Like, is there a threat in this environment? No, you're actually safe. So like, let's just breathe and this will pass. And yeah, I think that is also how I'm able to stay calm and help people through that, because I'm like, I know what to do in this situation. I've done it many times, and it doesn't make it easy or fun, but it's still pretty horrible and terrifying. But yeah, you feel like a badass when you get through it. That's for sure. Yeah,
and then the other thing about like, it's not easy or fun, that's also a common thing with, now I've worked with psychedelics, maybe, I don't know, 100 times, and a bunch of different psychedelic compounds and experiences in different contexts and everything. And I do think I have a certain skill of working with these drugs under, different circumstances. But at the same time, they can still be really challenging. Even up till last week, I had 2 experiences that they were both very challenging. It doesn't necessarily get easier, but you get more familiar with being in different states of mind and body and confronting challenging thoughts or fears, or, when it's a very high dose, just having everything bend, like your deepest beliefs are bending and your deepest relationship with your body is bending. And, it's like, that doesn't become easy, but it can be like, oh yeah, okay. Another unknown weird experience for me to navigate.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Okay, and I do want to talk about those experiences, but I just want to ask you, how was it coming back from the first ayahuasca retreat? Like, what do you feel changed in your life? Did you get what you came for, or did it kind of open up a door, or both?
Yeah, probably both. That first one, man. That's a big question. There are a few big takeaways from that first retreat. One of them is the experience reminded me of love. And that's a hard thing to talk about because, you might hear that and be like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, love. Like, yeah, we know love. It was like, no, I didn't know love. I had stuffed love down deep, deep, deep within myself because it was too much for me to handle. I don't know at what point. As a child, as an adult, I don't know. But at some point, I had just repressed the feeling or understanding or relationship with love. And that first retreat, those medicine experiences just bathed me in love. And like the first thing it showed me was the love I have for my father. And the very first night on the medicine, I'll never forget this. It was like not much was happening for several hours, and I hear people screaming or or laughing or going through all sorts of crazy trips and throwing up, and I'm just laying there for several hours like, I don't know what's going on, like what am I waiting for? I don't see anything. And then sure enough, like at some point it got very quiet and I just saw this image coming from like the distance in my mind, just from blackness, this image coming forward. And then I saw it and it was my father's face. And I felt my love for my father just erupting like when you strike oil and it's just like, and it just bathed. It just bathed me in love, and I was weeping and weeping and weeping and saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because it felt like reclaiming a part of me, obviously a part of how I relate to my father, but just a part of my life that I had hidden from. It was like, I knew it in the moment. It was like, this love it has been too big for me. It has been too big for me to hold, to accept even. It's like, it's so big, it's scary. And it's tied with grief. It's tied with knowing I'm going to lose that person or they're going to lose me, and that is extremely painful. And maybe that's why I've kept it hidden for so long. And then, I had further experiences where it showed me my relationship with my partner at the time and how much love is there and how we even keep a little distance from each other because we're afraid of what that feels like, of to care for someone else that much. It's a lot, it's heavy. And so I'd say one of the big takeaways from that first retreat was remembering love, an invitation to move towards it, to be okay with, yes, that there is grief and loss and pain associated with that, but that's not a good reason to keep that out of your life. And then the other big thing was showing me a life of service. And some of that was watching you and Drew and Stacy and Lydia taking care of people. And I remember thinking, this is real care, and these are my people. I had only ever seen such a standard of care, like with sometimes you meet a nurse in a hospital who's like really heart-centered and is taking like extraordinary care, compassionate care of their patients, like every once in a while. Most of the time it's people who don't want to be there.
Right.
So I saw this and I saw the way people were being taken care of, and I'm like, it felt like a reclaiming again of like part of myself, like, oh yeah, we're supposed to take care of each other. Oh yeah, I'm getting older and it's not all about me. Like, we need to take care of each other. We need to be in community. Life is really freaking hard and we need to help each other get through it. And inevitably we will get sick and die, and we need to help each other get through it. It's like, now it sounds so obvious to me, but up until that point, it was not something I thought about. I thought about more success for myself, whether it's financial or, career path or relationships, or it was all about me and how do I get enough and how do I do better and how am I getting bigger and better and more powerful, more wealthy and more attractive and all these things. And I left there feeling more connected to my fundamental humanity, love, care, community, service. The earth Like, we got to take care of this earth, this planet. What are we doing?
What are we doing? Oh,
a little
gosh.
bit stereotypical, but
no, I think those are amazing, beautiful things. Like, those are really, really amazing. When you're talking about the love, it was making me emotional because, whew, yeah, I think that's just how I'm so grateful for my life now and how we live our life and the people we're surrounded by and the kind of work we do. But I forget sometimes how it was before this whole journey started, and it was dark. And it was, I remember just like not even being like, I don't really know if I know what love feels like. And I honestly didn't. I didn't. And when you're talking about it, I'm like, yeah, that is, maybe it's cliche, but I don't care. It's just really, really beautiful. If love is what you get from that experience, like that's what I want from everybody, really. And to see like all of the walls that they've built to keep love out. And they're for good reasons. Because like you said, this grief, it's so powerful and it's so strong, and it makes sense why, especially a lot of like really sensitive or empathetic people, they put walls up and they harden because it is so much to feel. But at a certain point, yeah, it's like, I don't know, a choice, like what you made to be like, actually, I see how hard this is going to be and how much pain this could bring me, and I still choose love.
Yeah.
Because it's more painful to not feel it.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, it hit me over the head. Like, I couldn't ignore it. The other thing about service, it was like, maybe I can ignore this. You know, it's like, do I really want to live my life like as a caregiver? Like, I don't know. So I did explore that too, but like,
Right.
you know, it was a little bit more of a negotiation with myself and with the medicine.
It's like you described. I mean, I think the medicine can give us really clear, amazing guidance and instructions, but the hardest part, everyone knows this, is like taking actions when you get back and making changes in your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously your life has changed a lot since then because you were living in New York and now you're living in Peru. So how did you get here?
Oh boy. I mean, the boring way is like, I explored this, I explored that, this ran out of time, I saved up enough money and decided to do this. But like the real like distilled, it's that I found my way. I found my way of knowing what I need and where I need to be and who I need to be with and what I need to be doing. So this thing about like the universal computer giving me the answers, like it's within me. It's within all of us. It's like our inner knowing, our inner wisdom, our inner guide, however you want to put it. Over the years, like after that first retreat, I started saying, okay, I do have options. I'm not stuck in life. I do remember love. I do remember how colorful life is. It's not black and white. I am interested in a life of service, not devoting myself to a life of service altruistically, definitely not. But like, am I a caregiver? Should I be a caregiver? Can I be? Is that the right choice? So I just started developing that relationship with my inner knowing. And I did that by supplementing my own practices with more psychedelics. So working with a psychedelic therapist in New York, I did some ketamine therapy. Working with some underground guides here and there, I met the magic mushrooms finally. I took a pilgrimage by myself to Oaxaca in Mexico, where like that became famous, and had a magic mushroom ceremony there, and came back to Dream Glade again, did the following year and did some more ayahuasca work, and finally met San Pedro and did the cactus work, and you know, started putting myself in very safe containers for exploring more these reclaimed parts of myself: love, service, community, authenticity. And I did not make changes right away. I suffered miserably in a corporate job for 3.5 years, which is not a long time for some people, but for me was brutal. You know, and eventually the call to pursue what is authentic to me became important enough that I left my job. My partner and I separated. I left New York and I came down to Peru. I went back to university online, which means I can do it from Peru.
Awesome.
Where the quality of life is very high and the cost of living is very low. And I have so many beautiful friends down here, and I'm very close to psychedelic plant medicine work. And so I just kept pulling the threads, and then eventually it became a no-brainer that I need to pursue what's authentic to me and that this is a great place to do it. That's why I'm here.
I love that. I'm so happy you're here. It's so funny to think of so many of us who are here are all connected through the ayahuasca center I used to work at, Dreamglade. And it's like, I never would have thought that all of us would be here if you told me that years and years ago. And it's really, really fucking cool.
I couldn't have imagined any of this life that I'm living now, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, I was a professional musician. All I wanted to do was be like a successful drummer, you know, in a famous band, on tour all the time. And just now what I see is a very narrow view of life. And if I time traveled now and went back and said, hey, guess where you're going to be 10 years from now? I would be like, what are you talking about? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't have any money and you're in university getting a master's degree at 40 years old. Like, whoa, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And you're living in Peru and like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is pretty great. I love it. So yeah, I love that you're always so down to learn. I can't remember the exact quote you said to me a long time ago, but it was something like, oh yeah, unfortunately, I really like to learn. And I love that you love to learn. And so now you're in a couple programs. You're in that program to become a clinical therapist?
Yeah, and clinical mental health counseling. It's a master's degree in a university in the States.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And how's that going?
I love it. It's so easy. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember being in university 20 years ago, like right out of high school, and I was like, this is so hard. And now it's like, are you kidding? Like, life is hard. This is easy. Like, studying something I'm passionate about and then, you know, reading research papers and writing papers about it is so much easier than a lot of else of what life is going to throw at you. Like, this I can do.
I love that perspective.
And I get to choose what I write and research about, and it's mostly psychedelics and psychedelic therapy and a couple other things, but yeah, it's like, it's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. And then tell us about the other program you're in too.
So the other program I'm in is a 3-year, also master's level program that's based in Colombia. Mm-hmm. And that is, it's called ecstatic mysticism. It is, it has a focus on psychedelic assisted therapy, but it does so through the lens of indigenous wisdom, Eastern mysticism, modern depth psychology, Western medicine. It kind of like brings everything together holistically. Mm-hmm. Really, there's like an integrative psychotherapy sort of flavor to the program. We study online for about 4 to 5 months, and then we have an intensive every 6 months. So twice a year we meet up for about 2 weeks, and we do these very intense retreats where we work together in sort of group therapy practices. We have some classes to learn different theories of healing cultures or modern therapies. And then we have a few psychedelic assisted ceremonies that kind of just ignite all of that into a very powerful experience. And then, we try to make meaning of that and see how that informs our work that we do. Mm. And sometimes we either do that kind of work or we go on a pilgrimage to some ancestral tradition and learn from their elders and learn from their culture how they do things. So back in February, I went to the desert of Huiricuta in Mexico to work with the Huichol people and the peyote medicine, the peyote cactus. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was incredible to be in the desert for, about 10 days. And I won't go into it in too much detail, but like just experience a very different culture with a very different relationship to psychedelic medicine. Because sort of the modern Western therapeutic modalities around psychedelic medicine is quite different than some of these ancestral traditions, which it's very matter of fact. It's there, it's like a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the most important thing. It's just something that kind of connects everyone to spirit or to themselves or to the community. But mostly it's about like community and being together and allowing things to unfold. That's another thing I see from indigenous communities. There's a lot less control. A lot of like modern and Western practices are about controlling all the risk, controlling the context, controlling all the variables, and for good reason sometimes, especially if you're doing scientific research. But in these communities, it's like we're sitting around the fire. This is the field. Whatever comes into the field is allowable, is acceptable, and we trust that the field will take care of itself. And that is exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of just like hands off and trust that like the universe is a self-regulating, healthy field, and everything will be taken care of. And it's quite a different way of relating to each other, and then also these powerful drug experiences. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so cool because you've had experiences on both sides of the spectrum. You've had like ketamine-assisted therapy in the States, and you've had like these wild, like anything goes ceremonies in the desert and other places. What would you say is, I don't know, like one of your biggest differences between those experiences? Do you have one that you prefer, like a way that you prefer working, or do they both give you totally different things?
They're all necessary, I guess. Like, but this also reflects how I am. Like, I like everything. Yeah. I want to taste everything. I want to know the whole variety of experience and have a little try at all of them. So knowing that there's this highly controlled, highly clinical, very safe, one-on-one in a therapist's office, controlled, read your blood pressure, take a very specific dose of a medication, have an experience, talk through it on a protocol. It's a wonderful way of exploring yourself. And it's a way that I do recommend to clients who work with me in psychedelic coaching. It's like, this is perfect for you. It's highly controlled. You feel you're well taken care of. It's good for your nervous system. If you have a nervous system that's a little bit on edge, it's like, I feel safe. I know I'm taken care of. There's a protocol here that's researched by science that shows at scale that this works and is safe and is effective. So there's use there. There's a lot that I appreciate about that. With that said, it leaves out a lot of what it means to be human. And this is something that I don't know if it's for everybody, but it would be beautiful for everyone to touch at least a little bit, to not control so much, to trust a little bit more that our bodies, our brains know how to take care of ourselves, that we know how to take care of each other, that, well, it's hard to say what I believe about the medicines. That's hard to say. But when you're in these experiences, it does seem that the medicines are gifts from the universe. And you might get that sense in a clinical setting, but you definitely will get that sense in one of these more ancestral traditions where, that first time laying in the Maloka, in the jungle, in Iquitos, on ayahuasca, and just feeling like this is a gift from the earth. Like the earth wants us to reconnect with each other, with our intuition, with balance, with knowing how to take care of the earth and ourselves and each other. It feels very apparent. And so I don't know, maybe you can get that from a clinical setting, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I've never had experience in a clinical setting, so
you
I
should.
wouldn't know. I should.
You should see what it's like.
I am very
maybe with
interested.
me someday, when I have my license.
I'm so down. I'm definitely so down. So, yeah, for people listening who might be curious about psychedelics but have never tried them, what would you like to say to them?
Well, I feel like this is kind of my target audience for the work that I'm looking to move into, which is I want to be a licensed psychotherapist for a number of reasons, not all related to psychedelics, but the field is rapidly changing, in the States especially. The laws are changing rapidly. And so it's in the media a lot. And so a lot of people are hearing about it. And they're hearing things like, one high dose psilocybin session is like 10 years of therapy. Or this person went to an ayahuasca retreat and it changed their lives forever. Or this iboga ceremony cured this man of 30 years of addiction. And those are sensational headlines. And sometimes they're true. They're often not. There's often a lot more to that story. But sort of non-spiritual or people hesitant to use drugs or not kind of in these spaces that we find ourselves in are hearing a lot about psychedelic medicine. And so there's a lot of curiosity. And this is what people reach out to me for about like, I'm thinking about like trying some mushrooms. And I'm like, okay, let's talk. Because that's, like you could treat that very lightly, or you could treat it with the care I think it deserves. The first thing I would say is don't believe what you read and hear about, because these are experiences of the depths of how you work. A psychedelic experience is lighting up everything, not everything maybe, but a lot of what's within you. So hidden parts of yourself, rejected parts of yourself, things that you're afraid of that you would never dare take a look at willfully. Things that are just weird and you can never see coming. Like the mind is infinite. It can create all sorts of things. And so, it's like, I kind of lost my train of thought. What was the question?
If there's people who have not tried psychedelics and they're curious about it, what do you want to say to them? Which I think, your first part of, don't believe everything you read and maybe a little bit cautious in the research is a really good and important one.
Yeah, and okay, the thread was the subjective experience. It's like what you hear about an experience someone has is very unique to them. Even if it matches the research literature statistically, like they had a positive therapeutic outcome, or they cured their addiction, or this, that, or the other thing. They still had a very unique experience. This is anecdotal to you. This does not mean that that's the experience you're going to have.
Right.
Also, you can't really tell what's coming. You might have a beautiful, blissful journey through yourself and the cosmos and infinite realms of fantasy and heavenly delights. You might have a nightmarish hell ride through things that you could not even fathom before and wish you never thought of, and now you can't forget. But either of those things are not indicative of if it's a good or bad experience. And so, a lot of people want the outcome, but they don't want the experience. They hear about someone curing an addiction, and maybe they have an addiction they want to cure, and they say, oh, maybe this is what I should do. Cool. Maybe it is. But let's talk about everything that goes into that. And let's talk about what makes it possible to cure an addiction. I'm not saying that it's impossible that you just have the experience and you're cured like magic. It happens, but it's not something to rely on.
Right.
And you should also be aware that if you have a really challenging time and you're not guided well and you don't really have support on the other end of it, it might make things significantly more challenging. You might open up doors that you don't really know how to support. You might see parts of yourself that are frightening and terrifying. You don't know how to incorporate it into your life. You might have an inflammation of whatever symptoms you're currently experiencing, psychosomatically or otherwise, because these things have to it's a process. You have to find your way to navigate this experience and make sense of what can be made sense of and incorporate it into your life, and then do the things that the medicine is asking you to do. So much like my own experience of being shown love and service and a different way of being in the world, I didn't do a lot of it for a long time, and I suffered miserably over it until I made the commitments to let me follow what is meaningful to me, because in the end, that's one of the ways I look at it. Whatever you're seeing kind of on these psychedelic medicine experiences, this is what is really meaningful to you. And if you align with that and you follow that and you live your life in accordance with that, then things will get better. Then things will change. But if you're just expecting to go on a trip and then some magical neuroscience happens, and your neurochemistry changes, or your synapses all, are bridged in different ways, which is also something that happens. If you're expecting that to be the only thing that happens, I can't recommend the experience, because you're walking into a lot of unknowns.
Beautifully put. I love that, and I totally agree with everything you've said. I've seen so many people who come here and try medicines, and they think that it's a silver bullet, or just swallowing something is gonna change their brain chemistry and therefore change them in their life. But it's a hard pill to swallow, that nothing can do that for you. Nothing's actually coming to save you except yourself. You can get a lot of guidance and a lot of help, but nothing's actually going to change your life. And yeah, maybe some of those stories are true. I believe some of them, like people's addictions are cured overnight and trauma, like sure, but also you can't bank on that. That's not something you are guaranteed.
You know, like even for myself, I had one experience on ayahuasca where it showed something being pulled out of me. And that thing that was being pulled out of me is my obsession with very extraordinary things, very absolute things, the absolute nature of the universe, the fundamental this or that, right? So the extraordinary. And it literally, the vision was, it was being pulled out of me. Quite literally, it was Lydia cleaning me. So Lydia is the curandera who is the healer leading the ceremony, and she was doing an ikaro, which is she's singing to clean me, basically, in that tradition. And while this was happening, I saw this image getting pulled out of me, and it was this obsession with the extraordinary. And it never came back, this obsession. You know, it's like, so did the medicine just clean that off of me? Did Lydia just clean that off of me? Or did I just see it so clearly how this is not helping me, that in the future, I didn't go down that rabbit hole when it would poke at me inside, like, what about this? And I go, it doesn't matter. I don't know. Could that be an example of like the medicine just like taking care of something? Maybe. But because I like to work with this stuff, I try to look at what is my involvement. So in this case, if this keeps coming up, I have a duty to say like, this is not important. What's important is like taking care of my health, taking care of my friends, you know, thinking in the long term, building good relationship, like very, you know, feet in the dirt,
concrete human.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. And speaking of that, I want to ask you some questions about living in Peru, because I know you were living, you know, this corporate life in New York, and now you're living in Peru, and a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could just come live in Peru and all my problems are going to be solved. And I'm like, that's not the case. We still have problems here. There's still challenges. They're just different challenges. So what are some of the challenges you've been finding from living here?
Parasites from dirty water. Scorpions.
Oh, yeah.
I have scorpions in my house, so I have to shake my boots out before I put my boots on. I have slippers I wear in my kitchen, and I went to put my foot in the slipper the other night, and a scorpion came out right before I...
No! Oh, that's so gross.
The water will just stop, just like there's no running water, and you call the landlord, and they're like, I don't know.
I can't help you today. Maybe tomorrow.
Other than that, it's pretty good.
What about like emotionally? Do you feel any regrets on like leaving a more comfortable life?
Of course. So yeah, like the reason I'm here is a good one, and I remind myself of it to combat the times when my self-doubt comes in, and my regret comes in, and my loneliness comes in, or my longing to be back with, you know, close to my family or close to some of my friends or that lifestyle I used to love. It's all there. And I remind myself of why I'm here. And there are enough good reasons to be here that's reasonable, and it puts me at ease. And I go, okay, it's the same with psychedelics. This is not going to fix your life. It's going to give you more options, or show you that there are more options. It's going to give you more information. What do you want to do with that? Right now, I'm in Peru because I decide I should still be here. Next week, I might decide that I should not be here. That's a different story. But it's so good here that it's hard to say no. It's so good.
It is. It's a really good life.
Yeah.
So yeah, where is all of this taking you? And I know that's something you've been thinking about a lot, but where do you want to go with this? You know, the programs that you've been in and all the experiences you've had.
Yeah, I mean, so something I already mentioned is like, I see myself working, at least in the psychedelic space, with people who are interested but don't know where to start. You know, people who were like me when I was just working my corporate job and I felt miserable, and I'm like, what is the meaning of all this? Like, what am I doing? I'm stuck. I don't know where to go. And this is a great way to explore yourself in a way that's highly confrontational, but really does surface a lot of what's there that you can't see from other ways. Or maybe you can see it by meditating for 10 years, or, you know, but like, who has that kind of time?
Exactly.
So, you know, I see myself I'm pursuing a license to practice psychotherapy. I do see myself moving back to New York at some point in the next few years to start that practice. that practice, even without the psychedelic aspect, is still about like reminding people of their humanity, helping them get back to themselves. What do they really want? What do they really need? How are they not living in alignment with that? How could they live more in alignment with that? I think it is, not to be too grandiose, but that's the way to change the world for the better. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, we need to attack like big bad systems of inequity and everything else, but also I'm really interested in why good people support these bad systems. And a lot of that reason is they're just not connected with themselves and their heart. So as a psychotherapist, I want to do one-on-one work to kind of help people reclaim that. And psychedelic assisted therapy is a wonderful way and super fun way of doing it. So yes. I'm super excited about that. I could also see myself doing some group work because I think bringing that aspect of community, again, like I see myself doing this in New York, but we'll see where life takes me. Like bringing that community aspect to New York and to that culture, I think is super important because it's missing. I would like to hold retreats. I would like to take people on pilgrimage because it's something I've done for myself. Like, let me go to the place where this meditation tradition is from. I went to the Himalayas in northern India to learn Vipassana meditation. It was a pilgrimage. It was a strong experience. The pilgrimage makes you commit in a real physical way to something deeper. The pilgrimage to Oaxaca to have the magic mushroom ceremony for the first time with the culture who held that tradition for hundreds of years. I want to offer that to people who are interested in that kind of thing. I would like to bring this to corporate America. When I say this, I don't mean psychedelic therapy, but I mean this kind of like reconnecting to your humanity. So I worked in a corporate office and the idea of wellness was a joke. It was like, I don't know, an afterthought or a checkbox that they just had to have on their list of things to be compliant with whatever, whatever law or trend. But I would like to bring this kind of return to humanity to the corporate world so that people are not losing their souls just to earn a paycheck. So, all these things together, that's it's still a little bit gray, but it's coming together. This is sort of what I see. And I'm supporting it now by, doing what I can in the meantime. So I'm not going to earn this license to practice therapy for another 2 years or so. It's actually going by pretty quickly.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
It's going by pretty quickly, but in the meantime, I'm working as a psychedelic coach, where I can't call myself a counselor because it's like a protected term.
Okay.
But I'm a coach, and I'm coaching people to prepare for and then integrate these psychedelic experiences. Or sometimes I work with people who are already experienced psychonauts, and they need help kind of making sense of experiences they've had, but maybe they're not taking action on. So I'm doing that kind of coaching work. I hold psychedelic ceremonies when I'm in a place where it's legal to do so. And I'm organizing my first large group ceremony for this winter.
Oh, that's so exciting. In New York?
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be so great. I love that. I think all of those are extremely honorable, and you're doing so much. You're doing so much a lot of the time, and I feel like you're always busy and you're always motivated and inspiring. Really, really inspiring. And I think all these things are amazing. And I totally agree. To change the world, everyone's got to look inside.
Yeah.
You got to open Pandora's box and look inside, and that's how we change things. But yeah, and some of the work you've been doing, like you said, when it's legal, is psychedelic ceremonies here. And I know you said you did a couple strong ones very recently. Do you want to talk about those? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay, then I want to ask you about a psychedelic ceremony. So
yes.
Okay, first, last week we had like a men's ceremony at my house, drinking wachuma, which is the San Pedro cactus, and it's a beautiful medicine, but 50% of the time I'm just throwing up all day. And this was one of those days where every time I put a piece of fruit down my throat, I'm out in the garden throwing up. It's quite a long ceremony, so we drank in the afternoon, and I was high on this medicine until 9 a.m. So it's a lot. It was not the most profound as far as like generating insights. It was more just like a lot of beautiful feelings, a lot of feeling connected to my friends who I was with, being grateful for where I am in my life. But it also kind of just came up as like something we would do. There's a festival here called Inti Raymi, which is oh shoot, what is it?
The sun?
It's reverence for the sun. I should know more about it.
This reverence for the sun.
Great. It's a sun ceremony. It's a festival that happens in Cusco in this time of year. So we wanted to have like a ceremony for that. So yeah. So because I wasn't going to it with like, I didn't have like a lot of questions. I'm not like asking a lot of myself or like, what do I need to do? You know, a lot of this this tradition of psychedelic ceremonies, old and new, is about like bringing your intention to it. And, you know, what kind of things you want to look into, you want to ask the medicine, you want to ask yourself. And I didn't really have a lot of that. I was just like, okay, we're drinking Wachuma today. And it was just physically challenging, you know? And it was like, oh yeah, like the body is a lot when it doesn't feel well. It's just a lot. It's you know, it's uncomfortable. That doesn't get easier. Throwing up never gets easier, especially like these plant medicine throw ups are like, they come from like deeper than you thought your belly went. And
your deepest places inside of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like that never gets easier. So it was a lot of, and I'm hosting at my house. So, you know, and then we had some friends come later on. I had to like welcome them, and I'm like the highest I've ever been in my life. And then we had to make dinner. So Kevin and I made pizza because I'm like on my pizza making kick again. And so I'm like, the highest I've ever been, and I'm like stretching my dough, like, okay, I can do this. And it took an hour to make one pizza, but then we made several others, and it was fun. It doesn't sound fun the way I'm describing it, like all the puking and the body feeling like shit, but like it's fun because these experiences to me are like bolstering my ability to support others in this space.
Right.
So, like, I could have said, no, I'm not making pizza, like, you guys just fend for yourselves. But I was like, no. Like, I'm going to make this work. And you know what? The pizzas were great.
I heard they were amazing. Yes.
You know,
good for you.
Yeah, so, like, it's another thing, which is, like, I think working with psychedelics, some people are just like, I love this is amazing. It's crazy. And, ooh, something really scary, fine, fun, weird, wonderful, whatever. Some people are more like me, where you have to overcome that. You know, you have to overcome, like, I don't like to throw up, or like, I don't like to feel sick, or I don't want to go to that place, and, you know, I know what that is, but I just don't want to go there. A lot of people have to overcome that. I had to overcome that. Now that I've overcome that, I can do this for fun. And now, you know, San Pedro cactus, I don't do too often, because it is often physically challenging for me, and it's like, do I really want to be sick all day? Like, maybe I'll get one of those blissful days where you just feel amazing, or maybe it'll be the other day that like I really don't want. But other psychedelics like LSD or psychedelic adjacent like MDMA or these other experiences, you can just do them for fun. If you have the let's call it the cognitive skill to navigate these experiences with care and with reverence, you do it kind of respectfully. If you can overcome your fears, or at least be comfortable facing scary things or uncomfortable things or physically uncomfortable things, you can have a lot of fun. And I think it's your right as a human to have this fun.
I agree.
It's like exploring the most amazing parts of your mind and like maybe how the universe works. And I wholeheartedly recommend it. But it takes a little bit of skill. And I feel really grateful that I've given myself the time and the effort to generate that skill. And now I feel comfortable. I mean, I put myself in situations in trainings where I'm drinking mystery medicine, where we don't even know what we're drinking.
That is so wild.
Which even some like experienced psychedelic practitioners would be like, I would never do that. But I feel comfortable doing that because, well, one, I trust the people who are providing the substance. They're not going to give me some like deliriant or something dangerous.
Or like poison. Yeah.
You know, most psychedelic medicines have no toxicity, and it's not going to do anything bad to you other than take you to a very challenging mental place or emotional place. And I trust myself enough now to navigate those experiences and to do so with a blindfold where I don't even know what's coming. I don't even know what drug this is. I don't even know what to expect, how long it's going to last, what might come up, what it's like to interact with other people in this space on that substance. I trust myself enough now. I've done these like deep dives, and I'm not saying that I know everything that's inside of here, I know how to be comfortable with the unknown.
Right.
I know how to ground back in my body if I go a little bit too far out in my head. Mm-hmm. That's another big takeaway from working with psychedelics. It can show you these rabbit holes that we take for granted. We just keep thinking down these rabbit holes. It's just madness. And to just feel into your body, and you can just come back. Even on a high dose of some psychedelic drug, mystery psychedelic drug, I've been way out, and then just went, take one breath. Oh, I'm right here in my body. Mm-hmm. Everything is fine.
That's amazing. And that's like next level surrender, to take something that you don't know what it is. You don't know how long it's going to last for. You don't know what the dosage is. Like, to me, when you're talking, I'm like, that's next level surrender. And it's because, like you said, you trust yourself. And you trust the situation, you trust the scenario, the people who are leading it. But ultimately, it's because you trust yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do that with anybody in any situation. I have to know that that the people who are taking care of me are, obviously they're taking some sort of risk, but they're doing so very carefully.
Yeah.
And they have a reputation of providing exceptional care. So, there's no 100% certainty in any of this.
No.
If you're not willing to take some risk, don't go down this path. Mm-hmm. There's risk. There's risk in just opening doors of your consciousness. There's risk if you go to psychotherapy. They're going to ask you challenging questions. They're going to ask you about places you don't want to go. There's risk in opening those doors. Is the risk worth it? Usually, for myself, the answer is yes. And there are times where I go, it's not worth it. So you got to know yourself, and you got to know what's really necessary, what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. And then what about your ayahuasca ceremony with us?
So the next day...
Because I'm curious about this. I'm like, I don't really know what happened.
Oh my God. The next day, so after this throwing up all day and night and making pizzas stoned to the bone, I got up and I crawled over here to this room, and you and Kevin and I had an ayahuasca ceremony, and it was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was... I don't want to say it's as good as it can get, because it can always get better. But if you know anything about ayahuasca, you hear about the purging and just throwing up and shitting your pants and going to the deepest, darkest corners of the dungeons of your mind, and that's some of the first stuff that comes up. Mm-hmm. But what I've found is it is also one of the most beautiful experiences you can possibly have. Mm. There is a very particular quality to where the visions can take you that, to me, is untouched. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure you don't either.
I totally agree, but I don't know how to explain it.
It's
either.
Like, oh my God, I'm gonna get excited.
Yay!
I don't know how to explain it, because all the psychedelics can be this way, mm-hmm. but there's something very particular about ayahuasca where it just feels like you're being held by a very loving, cosmic presence. Mm-hmm. Which people will call Grandma Ayahuasca, the spirit of ayahuasca, the cosmic serpent, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can see why those terms are used. I don't know what to call it. It just seems very sacred. It seems divine. And it feels like I'm being held and invited to go explore the universe. And sometimes that means exploring just pieces of my petty self and things I need to let go of, or things I need to change. And sometimes it's let's literally go fly around the universe and just explore possibilities of what might exist out there. So for 4 or 5 hours the other night, last week, I guess I took a big dose. I don't know, but I couldn't really move.
You took a big dose.
I couldn't really move. So I was just laying on the mat while you and Kevin sang beautifully all night, which was wonderful. Also, music is one of the best aspects of psychedelic ceremonies, just kind of carrying you through. Mm. And I just laid there because I couldn't move and felt great. I didn't feel weird stomach stuff or anything, maybe because I hadn't really eaten much since the day before. And I just went with the experience. It was full on the whole time. It was not wavy. Sometimes the plant medicines, you get really high and then you feel sober for an hour, and then you get sick and then you feel fine. This was just full on, super high, beautiful visions. One of these things where it's like I said, universal computer. It's one of these kind of experiences where I'm being taught lessons in no uncertain terms. Like, this is this and that is that, and you know this, and you should be doing that, and you need to stop doing this, and it's for hours and hours and hours. And it's like, oh, fuck, that's true. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, how can I not see that? It's the best experience I've ever had on ayahuasca.
Wow.
And then after you went to bed, at like 2 a.m, I got the most sick. Just like, oh my God, I have to shit so bad. And like, it's probably one of these horrific ayahuasca shits where like stuff comes out of you didn't even know about. And I'm like, but I'm so stoned. Like, I cannot even lift my head off the mat. I definitely don't want to shit my pants. Like, it was like that. And then long story short, I did get myself to the toilet. I did not get poo on myself.
Nice.
And then came out of the bathroom and immediately threw up my guts.
Whew, double under.
Oh my God. It was like, and it was a painful one where it just hurts the whole time. And like the flavor of the ayahuasca that's been half digested coming out of your nose. And like, it was like, it was a reminder of like, yeah, but this is still plant medicine. Like, this is going to fuck you up. It was like that. But it's like, for me, even that is, I have a certain affection for it. It sounds masochistic. I promise it's not. I have a certain affection for like, this is part of it. Like, it's medicine. It's cleaning you out. Maybe it's cleaning out some like just weird stomach stuff. Maybe, who knows? But like, it's good for you. So just deal with it.
I love that. And I totally feel the same way. It's not like I love throwing up, but I used like,
You kind of a little bit though.
A little bit. I used to be so afraid of throwing up. And it's so weird that now that's a huge part of my life is vomiting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have been a lot during ceremonies recently, which is like weird for me. I didn't used to throw up that much in ayahuasca, but anyway, that's a whole different story. But yeah, I kind of like, it's like you said, it's not like I love throwing up, but there's something kind of awesome about it where the whole experience is just wild. And usually before I vomit, there's like some revelation or some like extremely overwhelming feeling where I'm like, I don't know how to possibly feel this or work through this, and then I throw up and I'm like, oh, okay, well that's
one way.
That's one way.
But also like okay, I love not throwing up too.
Same.
And I love taking psychedelics that don't make you throw up. And for me, the mushrooms don't make me throw up.
Me neither.
I have dry heaved a couple times. But like, typically the mushrooms do not make me throw up, or, you know, LSD will not make me throw up.
Same, and I love that.
It almost. But anyway, there's always the possibility. But like, there's something about, let's say ayahuasca in particular, where it's a very body-focused experience where you're going, almost without a doubt, you're going to feel stuff in your body. Mm-hmm. And there's this kind of belief in this space that like everything is emotional. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think absolutely everything is emotional, but I think it's a great exercise to at least treat it that way. Because what happens is, when you're squeezed, and this happens even when you get food poisoning, you're sick or whatever, like, if your stomach is messed up, the things that you're not so happy about are going to be front of mind. It's a weird connection. And so even if it's not like, oh, you know, this bad relationship you have is causing you to be sick, and so you need to throw it up to release it. I don't know if exactly that's going on. I would be hesitant to say that. I don't really believe that. It's still useful when your body is going through something, what comes up, and it's like, oh yeah, I've been ignoring that, or I've been pretending like that's not a big deal, but it's a bigger deal than it is. And then I've had that same experience where you recognize it and you're ready to let it go, and then all of a sudden you're like,
And it's amazing. And I totally agree with what you're saying. And I think there's something too that's, I don't know, there's a lot of benefits to this like crazy, even though it sounds like, why would you ever want to throw up? But that whole situation that you described, I think there's a lot of benefits. And one of them to me is if let's say I am feeling really sick, and let's say it's during a ceremony, and I start thinking about a certain situation, I'm like, oh, this is making me sick. Like maybe it's the way I've been treating this person, or maybe it's this conversation I've been avoiding, or maybe it's like, oh, how's this romantic thing going on? And I immediately know, like in my body, I'm like, this feels so disgusting. And I don't even like necessarily have to throw it up. And that connection in plant medicine has helped me so much in life because I start just like feeling into my body, which was such a foreign concept before plant medicine. But now it's just like a part of my life and a part of my processing is when I'm thinking about things, like also check in with how I'm feeling, because sometimes those things aren't aligned. Like sometimes my thoughts are like, everything's fine and this is normal, but my body's like rebelling really hardcore. And sometimes it's the opposite, where like my body feels good, but my mind's like, there's problems and this isn't good. And I'm like, but actually I feel calm. Like there's no real problems. My mind's just going off crazy. So I think that's another benefit to feeling sick. It's not just like, oh, there's something bad and I threw it up and now it's in my bucket, but it's also teaching us how to listen to our bodies and like really tune into how, we feel about certain things.
This is difficult for me, and it's something I'm trying to lean more into. But I have to pee really bad.
Oh yes, let's pause this. We are back, here to continue the conversation about feelings and puking.
Feelings. About feeling into feelings.
Feeling into feelings.
So this is one of those things where I know it will serve me to lean into it, and I still have so much resistance to it. Obviously, I've gotten better at it, especially you start working with psychedelics, you start working with plant medicines, especially with a lot of feelings. You have no choice but to like learn how to work with that space. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about this, which is I find that I know it to be a good source of knowledge, so I ignore it sometimes, which is very strange. But like, I have a question about like, oh man, should I really date this woman? This is a recent example. And I'm like, I should probably put this to my feelings. I should like just not think about it and just ask. And I was like, nah, let's just try it and see what happens. Didn't turn out too well. Why? Why do we do things like that? That's my question for you.
I'm going to have to feel into that. Why do we do that? I think a lot of times it can be summarized as simply as we don't like the answer. Because when I think about when I've done that myself, and I still continue to do that sometimes, and you're like, why do I do that? But I don't like the answer sometimes. Like I'll give an example of like, this was years ago, but I wanted to be into this one guy. Like I didn't want to break up with him. And so I'm asking like all these other questions that aren't the actual question of like, should I end things with him? Because I knew the answer already. And yeah, you don't need psychedelics for that kind of stuff a lot of the time, but I didn't like the answer because of the consequences of the answer also, because of what I would have to address and acknowledge, and then therefore what actions I would need to take, and I didn't like any of that. I was like, I don't want to break up with this person. I don't want to make myself go through that and make him go through that and make both of us have to like move out, and there's so many implications, and it's better to just not look at that.
And then what happens? Then you extend, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off slowly.
100%.
Yeah.
There was this guy who was at one of our retreats, and this is kind of a gnarly metaphor, but I don't know why it sticks in my head. He's like, we were sitting on the balcony or the swim platform. There's no balcony. The swim platform after ceremony, and this guy was just going through the story about, basically it was clear to the rest of us that he was refusing to look at what he needed to do, and he was coming up with all these reasons why he didn't want to break up with this girl, even though he clearly knew he should. And this other older man that was there just said, okay, so here's the situation. You have a chicken. You need to cut the chicken's head off. Like, are you going to let the chicken run around and scream and be really upset for hours and hours, or are you just going to like hold the chicken down and cut its head off? Because either way, that's what needs to happen. And so you're going to choose how you're going to let that unfold. And you're also going to choose which way is going to be more painful for you and the chicken. Because like ultimately, if you're going to have to do that anyways, it's less painful to just do it for both of you.
What did he do?
I don't know.
He suffered the rest of the night?
I honestly have no idea. I think he did break up with that woman, but...
It's a good point. It reflects how I feel in a lot of like ayahuasca ceremonies or these kind of like plant medicine ceremonies where you feel like, I don't really want to throw up. I probably don't have to throw up because you know how unpleasant it is. You just don't want to go through it. And so you end up effectively delaying it for several hours.
And then being just nauseous for a long time.
Being nauseous and feeling like shit. And then finally when you throw up, you're like, I feel so much better. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I remember Stace had a saying for that. When people didn't want to throw up, he would just say, better out than in.
It's true. You're just harboring shit.
You're just harboring shit.
Okay, but what about this? And we've talked about this before, where we're like, we should be telling people to trust their feelings. Except for you, not right now. Not yet.
Yeah.
Like, you need to work on that a little bit.
Yes.
What is that about?
Ooh, there's a lot of different scenarios for that question, but the thing that pops into my mind is when people have experienced a lot of trauma or have no experience with regulating their nervous systems, that can be an example of don't trust your body. It's kind of like what you were talking about earlier, where you've had experiences both in and out of ceremony where your nervous system is going crazy and it's on high alert and it's telling you like all signals to the brain, we are not safe. And you're consciously aware that that's actually not true. So it's scenarios like that where I think people should be wary, myself included. I used to be really, really confused by intuition versus anxiety because I couldn't quite understand the difference between them. I'm like, I'm scared something really bad's going to happen. And I would have these really dark thoughts of like, the plane's going to go down or my family member's going to die or like these horrible things are going to happen. And they didn't happen. And then I was like, clearly that's not my intuition. I'm not like psychic. I'm just really fucking scared.
Well, good for you for getting on the plane. My intuition is telling me the plane's going to crash. I'm gonna take the risk.
It was like every time I'm on a plane. So I just had to take it and say Alexa Pro and be like, well, it's going down. But yeah, it never actually went down. So then I was like, I had to look at the fact that that's not my intuition. I'm not psychic. This is just anxiety. So what does that feel like? And honestly, I think you described it really well yourself earlier when you said there's a quiet knowing that's underneath all of that noise. And that's way harder to tap into when your nervous system is on the fritz. And when my palms are sweaty and my heart was beating and my mind is racing, I didn't have the tools back then to like sink back into, wait, what's my deeper knowing here? Am I safe? I just didn't have the tools to do that. But now, luckily, I do. And like you said, it's still not easy when I'm confronted with these, but I can tell. And I've had to use these skills a lot in ceremony and really sit with the thoughts and the feelings of, is this something I need to actually pay attention to, or is this fear?
Yeah, and I think like recognizing the color spectrum of all these things is part of like the work that we do with people. It's like, can we not say like, oh, all of a sudden now you're just relying on your feelings and your intuition? It's like, can we hold everything that is there, your reason, your experience, the judgments you make, the coping skills that have served you in the past? We're going to investigate, are they still serving you? Can they be repurposed for something else? What are you feeling? What is your body telling you? What is your nervous system doing? Like, can you hold all of it? And it's unfortunate because it can be quite complex, but I think that's really the work. A lot of what I see, man, we could have a whole other podcast of what I see in the psychedelic medicine space.
We definitely could.
Which we won't get into now. But, just in brief, a lot of what I see is just jumping to a new modality, which is like, now you just trust your body, or now you just trust the medicine. And I don't think that's what's being asked. What's being shown is like, you're holding these things and now you're being given more. And it's like, holistically, how does this all fit together? And what changes now that I hold all these things, these new feelings that I'm not so comfortable with or even familiar with? Like, how do I develop a relationship to that without losing like my reason and my decision making and my logic and my scientific rationality? Like, that doesn't just go out the window because all of a sudden I'm a mystic or I'm a plant medicine person,
Yeah, I think that's so important, and maybe we should have a whole nother podcast about that. But for
that'll be a fun one.
I'll say
we should do reaction videos to like
what people
medicine.
say.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm so here for that. I will just say a little thing right now because it's relevant, but I actually see that as a huge problem. Is it's kind of on this exact topic, but there's you can go one of two ways. But I see, for example, women, let's say they have a trauma or an abuse where they don't trust men. And so then they have this beautiful ceremony where a man really helps them and they learn like, oh, well, now I can just trust men. And whenever my fear comes up, that's just because of my past trauma. And that's that. And I'm like, well, like you said, let's keep these both in your hands, because maybe it is just because of your past trauma. And maybe you can use your current discernment to see if this person is safe or not. But what you should not do is just completely ignore the fear, because that person could actually still be dangerous for you, and maybe your body is trying to give you good signal that you shouldn't ignore. And this is not an easy thing to navigate.
Well said. and a lot of this has to do with trust. And a lot of people, when they're investigating these things, especially past traumas, it's a lot about trust. And I think trust is something that should be built and should be handled carefully, not just like all of a sudden I trust this modality of care, or all of a sudden I trust all men in your example.
Totally.
Like, yes, like we're adults.
Yes.
We need to maybe cultivate our childlike wonder, but not be childish and all of a sudden just jump into some new naive framework of belief, which is what we see. often.
Completely. And that scares the shit out of me too, because I'm like, where's your discernment? And saying that you trust something wholeheartedly all of a sudden is a little scary to me, honestly. And it's like, where's your discernment?
My one question for you.
Yes.
Not that you allotted me one question, but I'm taking one question.
Hit me. Lay it on me.
So I've served you in a mushroom ceremony, where I hosted a mushroom ceremony for you and a couple friends. How was that for you?
That was awesome. I had such a good time that night. It was me and you and Kevin and Paige, right?
Yes.
And man, I really love mushrooms. I really love sitting with them. You know, I love all these different medicines for different reasons, but mushrooms, I would say I really love them, let's say recently, because when I'm working with other things, especially ayahuasca, I'm more sitting in the healer or the like curandera seat, and that's where I'm training. And so she doesn't give me a lot of opportunities to be a guest anymore and to like sit and feel things. And Wachuma sometimes does, but a lot of times I'm still like, it's like, you're here in a healing capacity. Like, you're helping today. So with mushrooms, with you were holding a space for me and these other people who are my friends and other medicine people. Like, we can all hold our shit. And it was wonderful because I just got to be a guest, and I'm trying to remember exactly that ceremony, but I'm like, it was really beautiful because it was just the classic, like, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm laughing, and really exploring the mushroom space as a guest. And yeah, it was cool too because our group of people was like 2 men, 2 women, all people comfortable in this space. And I think that was the first time you've ever served me anything. And so that was really cool too, to be like, oh yes, I'm in Nick's space. Like, this is awesome. And yeah, you did such a good job, and I'm excited to do that with you again too.
Whenever you want.
I'm so down. But I'm like, what was even happening that night? I just remember you had the most fantastic fucking playlist I've ever heard, and there were some songs that came on, and I was like I think I told you this, but the one that came on where I was just like, I've never heard love before in a way that this song is love. And I know that's really hard to describe, but I'm like, it was like this flavor of love that felt so like all-encompassing and powerful and overwhelming, and it was just so beautiful. It could make me cry just right now thinking about it.
Oh my goodness. I love to hear that. The music is so important, I think, and it's one of the greatest vehicles for carrying us through a psychedelic journey. And I tried to have music that people have never heard before. And when you're working with other medicine people, then it's difficult because they know the weird kind of like emotionally evocative music. But I did get a couple in there, I think.
Oh yeah, you crushed me in such a good way.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, my intention is really just to hold space. It's to let you have whatever experience you want or need. With that said, I will employ music that is evocative of different themes like love or grief. There were some difficult tracks in that playlist as well. I think Paige said it sounded like a techno graveyard or something like that at some point. Anyway, there's some challenging pieces in there that they're supposed to be challenging. They're supposed to take you to somewhere which I knew that you could all support. I wouldn't necessarily do that with someone who's like already on edge emotionally.
Oh yeah.
But really, like, my orientation is towards mystery. I do not know what you need, other than you need physical and psychological and emotional safety, and I'm here to provide that space for you. And then I might just have a little thing here and there, a tool of music or some maybe conversational prompts or whatever to just poke at what might be there. But really, for me, it's I don't know, and we're gonna see what comes up.
And that really worked so well. Oh my god, I don't even remember if there were any majorly challenging songs. I think I remember the one Paige was talking about, but I honestly loved all of them, even the ones that it's like I could tell they were bringing up some weird shit, but I'm also here for that. Like, yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I'm like, bring it on. What is this like weird thing that this is bringing up?
I got a lot more since then too.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, we'll see.
I'm usually really here for it. I think there's only been like 1 or 2 times in my life where I hear a song, I'm like, we need to absolutely turn this off right now. But that didn't happen, which I was kind of surprised by, honestly. I was like, no, I'm into all of it. I mean, maybe it was just because I was just having a really great night too.
You were having a great night. That I do remember. My method would be, if you said like, we absolutely need to change the song, it would be, we can. Do you want to sit with it and see what's there? Or do you want to change the song? It would just be, let's not just jump and make a change. Let's do this intentionally. And then if you were like, change the song, I'm going to change the song.
That's totally
But if you
fair.
were like, okay, I accept this invitation, you know something might come up. Some weird association. And maybe something has nothing to do with it. But it's weird the way you can just like poke at something and what comes up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And it is so true that I think just working with plant medicine has helped me work with plant medicine. Like, it's not that complicated, but I'm like, now I have some tools and practices. And that's one of them where if something, let's say a song does start to come on and I'm like, oh, I don't just say, we need to turn this off. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, why am I having such a strong visceral reaction to this song? And it's usually really interesting. A lot of the times, the second I start questioning, my discomfort goes away. Because it's just like something that wants to be acknowledged. I'm like, what is this? Oh, right, this is bringing me back to a really painful, like, guilt-ridden place in my life. Or, oh, this is reminding me of this person who really didn't like me and I don't like not being like, and it's pretty clear why I'm not liking it. So yeah, I think I'm really into the challenge. However, I also just really love I love having fun. It took me a while to get to this place as well. I used to be like you, where I'm not someone who just was like, I'm a psychonaut and I love exploring all the, like, I was like, I'm terrified. I'm so anxious. I had to take it pretty slow, but now just being able to have fun is a luxury. That was a day with mushrooms with you where I'm like, I'm just having fun here. And that's also important. Like, I really think that play and fun is so important, and we don't have to take everything so fucking seriously. Like, we can come to a ceremony with respect and reverence, and that is necessary, but also to come with the intention of just like, yeah, I'm gonna see what's here and hopefully have some fun and play. Like, awesome.
This is where I feel like I'm finally at with psychedelics specifically, where, and life too. I mean, psychedelics are just the extreme version of your life in a way.
Yeah.
But I feel so grateful that I can, and I don't do it too often, but can just have a day with acid and just have the best time. But it's like we talked about, it's like I have the skills to navigate that experience, and it requires some skill.
Definitely.
So, like, that's my mission right now or one of my missions is help people develop those skills. To be the guide that I didn't have that first time when I took acid and I was freaking out for 14 hours or whatever it was.
And then years after.
And then for time after that, like, yeah, it's I feel I have the capacity to help people come into this space as safely as possible with as minimal risk as possible and then really enjoy it. And potentially get a therapeutic outcome from it too. So
what more could you want,
what
really?
more could you want?
So if people want to find you and want to contact you and want to work with you, do you have a website or a way that they can reach out?
Yes, you should go to psychedelic-care.com or on Instagram at psychedelic.coach.
Perfect. I'm going to put those in the links in YouTube and Spotify. And is there anything else you wanted to ask me or talk about? Oh, I love you so much.
I love you too. And yeah, let's do another one where we talk about how crazy it gets in the psychedelic wellness space.
I'm so down.
Because we haven't even really touched on it, and it gets pretty wacky.
It definitely gets back. Okay, next time me and Nick are going to sit down and discuss that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love you all so much. Talk soon.